Hello, Beez Bladers, and welcome back. Welcome newcomers to the Beez Blades channel. I am Brian, and I'm going to do a review today of the Highball XL by Kershaw. I've carried it for about 3 months, and we'll see after I'm done here if this is something you might want to check out or get yourself, or if you have one, I'm curious if you agree with me. A huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon and my engaged subscribers. Don't forget that the bell button has the all selection. You don't want to miss the new content and giveaways, so make sure you check your bell button and make sure that you weren't unsubscribed, because sometimes YouTube will do that for some weird reason. One day I had 10 less than I had the day before, and somebody said, hey, what happened? So anyway, back to the Kershaw. I've had it, like I said, about 3 months. I've used it, sharpened it, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it so far. And let's give you a look at it. So I'm going to go through, and I always like to do some close-ups to give you an idea what it looks like. Of course, it's not brand new anymore. I've carried it, and I've used it. But we'll go right along through here. Please support the channel by joining me on Patreon to help with knife content and giveaways and postage. And you can follow me at Beez Blades on Instagram. And as you can see, this is not a pretty knife anymore. I mean, it's not a not pretty knife, but then again, you know, it's got some marks and marring and all that good stuff. I use it in the yard and everything else. So there's that side. And here we go on this side. You can contact me anytime you want. All of my contact information, it's all in the video description. If you're on a phone, look to the right of the description, and right there's a little arrow. You tap that, and all the goodies and links to knives that I recommend, my address if you want to send something to the channel, all of that good stuff is in there. So we'll zip through the Beez Blades checks, then the fit, finish, comparisons, action, ergos, and opinions. I use comparisons. Yes, I do use comparisons. I use calipers for my measurements, just so you guys know. I had somebody ask me, and I was like, yep, it's the only way I do it. So I weighed it, and this knife came out at 3.86 ounces. Your total length is 7.56. Your blade and pretty much sharpened edge are about exactly the same. Your sharpened edge is actually a little longer than your blade if you're starting from right here. So your blade is 3.32 inches. Your blade height is 0.95 inches. Your blade stock thickness is 0.115, and behind the edge is 21 thousandths of an inch. You got D2 tool steel, and this is a clip point with a flat grind and a bead blast finish. Your handle is stainless steel. There's your handle with the pretty blue anodized. Your handle thickness is 0.4 inches, less than a half an inch. Your height is actually right on 3/4 of an inch, and your closed length is 4.31 inches on this knife. So let's do some size comparisons, and then we'll zip through the rest of this stuff and we'll get to the good stuff. As always, I like to do a couple Spydercos. Here is the Tenacious. Let me zoom in here a little bit for you. Now I've got it at a little bit of an angle today, so this isn't gonna show you exactly what it looks like because I'm not straight overhead, but it'll still give you an idea. Here's the Manix 2 and the Tenacious. And if it helps, I'll do this right at the pivot. There's those two, and here, no, I said those wrong. This is the Manix 2. Here's your Tenacious. See what happens when I try to go too fast? I'm not even going to edit that. And here is your pair of 3. I'm pulling out knives and looking through the camera and not even look at what I'm putting down. How about that? How about that? Cash me outside. Oh, I didn't just say that. Here is Kershaw Leek. Put it up next to another Kershaw. And here is the Endgame. So there's 3 Kershaws for you. These two are similar. This one, most people that have a Kershaw probably have that one. And we'll just do a couple more. Here is QSP Penguin, which is a really popular knife. And Kershaw Natrix. I figure I might as well throw some Kershaws up there. All right, so there's your size comparisons. So as far as fit and finish go, there is no blade play, no lock rock with this knife whatsoever. The lockup on the frame has stayed consistently at about right on 50%. The blade centers itself right up after disassembly. Really nice, really nice. The blade geometry has left me dissatisfied. I shouldn't have to push as hard as I do through materials like the leather. I'll put a little clip up here. Pushing through the leather takes some effort, and pushing through and pulling through cardboard, it's just not as slicey as a lot of the knives that I have. If you guys have been following me, you know what knives I have, and you know what my opinions are on that. So we'll get back to that, of course. And another thing, I shouldn't have to reprofile a blade. The edge on this was very steep on this side and very shallow on this side. I have not reprofiled it. I sharpened the edge they gave me, which did not improve the cutting because it needs reprofiled, and I have not had time to do that. So you get a solid frame with no milling to speak of, and you have T8 and T6, T8 for the pivot and T6 screws for everything else. The pivot and the over travel stop are blue anodized, which are attractive, which look really nice. Really nice. There is no lanyard hole on this one. You get a sturdy deep carry reversible pocket clip, and it has recessed flat screws, which is really cool. It's easy in and out of the pocket. It holds well in your pants, even when I'm wearing like floppy or loose pants. It stays in there, no problem. So the clip is nice and sturdy. But as far as your finish, it's not too bad. You know, I've scratched it here and there just a little bit. The aesthetics are pretty nice. They're not too bad. Now, as far as my grit, my hand is 4 inches from let me back out just a little bit for you. My hand is 4 inches from here to here, and is 3.5 from here to here. So that gives you an idea. So as far as the grit, I would have preferred a handle that's a little more neutral. Right here, back here, it grabs me. It grabs my pinky right here when I'm pushing. I mean, it literally just pushes right into my bone of my finger when I'm pushing down. And this handle, holding it like this right here, isn't too bad. But again, it's just so hard, sharp right here in this back corner. If the handle had been more neutral, it wouldn't have been so bad. Now, if you had smaller hands, say, that would fit inside there, maybe that wouldn't be an issue. But with me, it just hits me in all the wrong spots as far as the handle. And choking up, you know, there's not a whole lot of area to choke up there. We'll get into that here in just a second. Now, as far as utility cutting, the grip on that one's the most comfortable for me with this knife. Just where my fingers fall is for utility cutting. You do have some nice jimping. I like the jimping. It's not aggressive. Somehow it grabs my fingers just well enough that it's not too bad. So I appreciate the jimping there. There's no jimping down here. And the frame lock is raised just the right amount. Just enough, and it's smooth, so there's nothing rough there. So it's easy to disengage, and it's butter smooth with no lock stick whatsoever. And as far as opening options, you can do the pinch roll and open it up. That's a really nice way to open it. Like that. Use both fingers like this. So you got that option. And then, of course, the one I always forget about, you can actually do two hands if you want to. And oddly enough, it said two-handed opening. I was like, what? So here's the thing. If you want to use your thumb to flip this open and you have your hands along here touching the frame lock anywhere whatsoever, it has the lock of death. And you will literally rip skin off of your thumb before you open this knife. You have to hold it a particular way. And by that, I mean you pretty much have to have your fingers on the edge of the pocket clip, because the pocket clip's not really pushing down on the frame lock. But if you have a finger touching anywhere on this frame lock, you will not open it. You will not open it with your thumb. So I've had to learn how to open this with my thumb if I want to. Now, if my fingers are back here, it opens no problem. And the action on this, you'll see here in just a second, is unbelievable. But to open it with your thumb, you have to have your fingers back there. And the only thing that this is really comfortable opening is the reverse flick. That is comfortable. Now check out the action on this thing. I'm really surprised. I know you guys don't have the best view, but look at that. I mean, it's like I'll tell you right now, spoiler alert, my favorite thing about this knife is the action. It is buttery smooth. Buttery smooth. So anyway, cutting through leather, I mean, it requires a lot of force. And cardboard, I end up grabbing another knife when I'm carrying. I mean, I always carry more than one knife, but it just takes too much effort. The blade geometry leaves me wanting another knife when I'm doing things other than, you know, light duty cutting or opening a package. Okay, that's cool. You know, as far as, you know, if this is what you're carrying it for, just everyday light stuff, you know, at the office, things like that, it's not going to be an issue. But for me personally, I'm getting hot spots. Right here is really getting me. And if you'll look, this is pinching me. This gets me too. This is maybe just it's because of the size of my hand, but it's sharp along here. It digs into my pinky finger right here. And if I squeeze it, you see right there the mark it made. So a few things that aren't so nice in my opinion. And this is all subjective, but the detent is too late for me for one thing. So when you break the detent, it's this far down. It's that much before you're past the detent. So that's an issue. That's a pain in the butt. You have to go all the way down to here before you can shut it. And then, of course, it shuts like a dream once you get past the detent. So, I mean, that's just my thing. You have to hold it a very particular way to open it with your thumb. Otherwise, you will not open it. You have to hold it very particular to open it with your thumb. The factory grind was way off in my example. I don't know if everyone's was like that, but mine was way off. Something else is there's no forward choil to speak of. There's no sharpening choil here. They pretty much sharpened it right on the plunge grind. I mean, so I've sharpened it a couple times just on their edge. I didn't change their edge. It's just already right on the plunge grind right from the factory. So on that. Here's something else. Your edge right here, you can't really tell, but for about the width of my thumb, right here, it's recurved. So my sharpening from the factory is just all over the place. There's a recurve right here that goes straight up. Matter of fact, let me grab something real quick. Let's see if this will show you. No, this doesn't show you. It's a piece of wood. I need something more solid. But see that shadow? There's a recurve at the top there. This is a bad example, but it's for a lack of having something better to grab. So that's another thing. And, you know, the butt of the handle is uncomfortable. It digs into my pinky finger. You know, we talked about that. Now, some things on the nicer side would, you know, the closed aesthetics of it aren't bad. You know, it looks nice like this and like this. It's an attractive knife. Something that I particularly this is me, I think it kind of looks weird now in person. The more I've had it, it seems like the belly here is a little too big or the handle is just not quite high enough. It looks like the blade is just a little bigger than it should be for the handle. Something just doesn't flow for me with this knife. Maybe if the blade weren't as deep, but then if it weren't as deep, the geometry would be even worse. So maybe a little more handle would have made me happier. And of course, this is just my opinions. I mean, the lockup is good. The pocket clip is nice. It does have really nice acoustics. So it has nice acoustics. I mean, you know, some people really like it. I like acoustics. And the action, that's a good thing. It's buttery smooth. But, you know, and it has the ball bearings in there. But for me, there's just more things that I don't like than that I do like. So, you know, if I lost this knife and I had $50 in credit at an online knife store, would I replace it? No, I wouldn't. But hey, you know, did I just get a bad example of the Highball XL? I'm not really sure. Let me know if you guys have one. Was it the same thing for you? What's your experience with it? I want to hear your take and see what you think about what I've said about it. I appreciate you guys. I like and love all the banter back and forth. Thanks for watching, and do me a big favor. Don't cut yourself.